Next on Action 2 News at noon, police releasing more details about what may have caused the death of a man found outside on Green Bay's east side. Well, that Arctic blast has people looking for cover and trying to keep well covered today. A look at how those working outside are coping with that chill. And on today's 40th anniversary of the legalizing of abortion, what both sides are doing to defend their cause.
And after a frightfully cold start to the day, thanks to some sunshine, temperatures are struggling to recover from these morning lows. We still have some wind chills around as well. We'll talk more about that and find out how long this cold snap will last. It's all coming up. Stay right there. Action 2 News at noon starts right now.
Live with coverage you can count on. This is Action 2 News HD at noon.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Rumpel. Thanks for joining us. We are dealing with sub-zero temperatures once again today, and it is a dangerous place to be outside. Let's get more details on the severe weather. Going now to Storm Center 2 and Brad Spakowitz. Brad?
All right, Kevin, thank you very much. Quick update on that wind chill advisory that we have had across much of the area. It was supposed to expire at noon, and it has for much of east central Wisconsin, but still from Green Bay into the Fox cities along the lakeshore, and even for those of you into Oconto and Marinette County, we'll still have wind chills this afternoon, frequently down to around -20. A portion of that wind chill warning in the north has been downgraded to a wind chill advisory, now extending until noon tomorrow, until 9 a.m. tomorrow. That's for those of you in Florence, Forest, and Langlade counties. So even right now, here are some of the wind chills as we look around. Feels like -18 in Appleton and Green Bay. Feels like -22 in Appleton. Feels like -23 there at Antigo. And there won't be much improvement there during the afternoon. Otherwise, of course, we're enjoying ample sunshine. And with the sun, despite a little bit of a very, very cold start, many of us have risen to around zero, except in the far north, where places like Shawano still at -4, Antigo still at -7. But here's your first forecast for the remainder of the afternoon and early evening. Skies will be mostly clear. Temperatures for the most part, again, warm a few degrees above the current readings, but very quickly this evening will slip back down below zero. And again, check out those wind chills throughout the day, mostly in the upper teens and low 20s. So we'll talk a little bit more about this. And there is, by the way, some milder air right around the corner. There might be a trade-off, though. I'll explain more with Pinpoint Predictor a little later on, Kevin.
All right, thank you, Brad. Well, within just the last half hour, police released the identity of a man police say was found dead on Green Bay's east side. Police say 38-year-old Brian Hicks was found dead outside near his home on East Shore Court in Green Bay. Police say an examination shows Hicks died from hypothermia and foul play has been ruled out. The department says a preliminary toxicology report also shows alcohol appears to have been a factor. He was found without his shoes and socks on, and his vehicle, police say, was found parked at an area bar. Investigators continuing to develop a timeline now, the hours leading up to Hicks' death. Well, with bone-chilling temperatures making it dangerous to be outside today, there are places to go to warm up for those who are in need. St. John the Evangelist Shelter in downtown Green Bay will be open all day today to help people escape from the cold. Typically, they're closed during the daytime hours. Shelter officials say the permit only allows 64 guests, but they have space to hold 84 people at capacity and say even though it might violate their permit, they will not turn anyone away. And St. John's not the only place to warm up today in our area. The day-by-day warming shelter and Oshkosh and Appleton's Fox Valley warming shelter offering places to stay tonight. The Solutions Center warming shelter will be open all day again today. And in Green Bay, the new community shelter is always open. Well, some people have no choice but to brave that cold weather today because it is their job. Crossing guards in the Green Bay School District helping students cross streets and get to school safely today, as they always do. But not with weather like this typically. It might feel unbearable to many of us, but the crossing guards for Howe Elementary and Tank Elementary, they're outside for at least an hour.
A good jacket and snow pants and warm socks and good boots.
Long underwear, lined jeans, just layers. And the only thing would be cold. And I have foot warmers and hand warmers.
And the crossing guards tell us they saw a lot more parents driving their kids to school today. Leader of the Green Bay Public School System this morning outlining what she says is a district that is making progress and moving in the right direction. Green Bay School Superintendent Michelle Langenfeld held a State of the District address this morning at West High School, and she pointed out that Green Bay schools now outpace the state and nation on ACT test scores, and that the district's graduation rates have increased by nearly 8% over the last 3 years. Langenfeld says the Green Bay District is now examining the possibility of year-round school school uniforms in some schools, and establishing middle school football programs. Jeff Alexander was at that news conference today. We have a lot more coming up tonight on Action 2 News at 5 o'clock. 40 years ago today, the Supreme Court decided Roe versus Wade, which gave women the right to have an abortion. Now in Green Bay this morning, pro-life supporters gathered for an Abortion Hurts Women news conference. A pro-life supporters group called Silent No More spoke about ways they say abortion hurts women physically, emotionally, and psychologically. In Texas, the state where Roe versus Wade originated, pro-life rallies were held across the state. Elizabeth Graham, director of the anti-abortion group Texas Right to Life.
You have a lot more work to do.
We do have a lot more work to do because we continue to miss this many women in Texas and other places. We redouble our efforts.
Turning to the other side of this debate, pro-choice supporters are also speaking out today. Amy Hagstrom Miller runs a clinic in Texas that provides abortion and says she is confident she'll be able to continue performing them.
The anti-abortion movement here is so huge. They're so strong. Have they won?
I don't think so. We've had all these attacks from the outside, and we're still able to manage to provide not only access, but really good care for women.
In the U.S., nearly 1 in 3 women will have an abortion before the age of 45, according to the nonpartisan Guttmacher Institute. Well, fire in Green Bay this morning displacing 2 adults and 2 children and put firefighters out in the elements today. That fire started around midnight last night in the chimney of a garage at the house. The fire was put out, but not before causing about $5,000 in damage. Fire Marshal's office investigating the cause of that fire. Police say a Fond du Lac hotel was robbed last night by someone who stayed at the hotel. A clerk at the main desk of the Executive Lodge Hotel telling police that a man with his face concealed stole cash last night and then ran toward the 50/50 store. Investigators took a 27-year-old man in on a probation violation. Police say he was staying at the hotel at the time, and they're calling him a person of interest. Well, the Packers today say that a kicker and a sack master are going into the team's Hall of Fame. Kabir Baha-Biamila, the defensive end for the Packers, the club's all-time leader in sacks with 74.5. And Chris Jackie, the place kicker who led the Packers in scoring 7 of his 8 seasons, including 3 campaigns of 100-plus points. Also going into the Hall of Fame, Emil Fisher, the chairman of the board of directors for the Packers from 1953 until his death in 1958. Induction banquet being held July 20th in the Lambeau Field atrium. Suspended New Orleans Saints football coach Sean Payton is back in the NFL's good graces today. The league today reinstated Payton after he met with the NFL commissioner Roger Goodell. Payton suspended this past season after the league said the Saints offered cash rewards to players for big hits in games and for knocking opposing players out of action. In a statement, Payton admitted mistakes were made and took full responsibility. Well, today officials trying to figure out what sparked a massive fire at an Air Force base in Northern California. Flames erupted at Beale Air Force Base, sending billows of smoke into the air. And a 2-story civil engineering building on the base that dates back to the 1940s was lost in the flames. The 200 people who typically work in the building will reportedly operate now from an alternate location. Today, the U.S. Senate expected to approve a bill that would send more than $50 billion in aid to states devastated by Superstorm Sandy. The House approved the bill last week, mostly behind Democratic support. The bill includes about $17 billion for immediate recovery efforts. Once the Senate approves it, President Obama can sign it into law. Congress has already approved $9.7 billion for flood insurance claims. President Obama beginning the first full workday of his second term with prayer and song today at the Washington National Cathedral. The president and vice president took part in this morning's traditional post-inaugural national prayer service. This tradition dates back to George Washington and included prayers and readings from leaders of Christian denominations as well as Islam, Judaism, and the Sikh coalition. The 106-year-old Episcopal Church has long hosted presidential inaugural services, also the site of the funerals for former presidents Ronald Reagan and Gerald Ford. The UN says nearly 200 million people worldwide are without a job, and then another 39 million have stopped looking. UN's annual report says unemployment will rise by 5.1 million this year around the world The UN Work Watchdog reports that young people are most vulnerable to the growing scarcity of jobs. Almost 74 million ages 15 to 24 unemployed around the world. In advanced economies, the report says 35% have been out of work for 6 months or longer, damaging their long-term career prospects. Up next on Action 2 News at noon, the flush of cold weather around the northern states making for dangerous conditions and providing as well some unique opportunities. How some are using the extra ice to their advantage. Take a live look outside now in the Green Bay Sky Cam. At least the sun's out. I feel good about that. Do you? We'll get the forecast and how much longer this cold snap's going to last.
You're watching Action 2 News HD at noon with Kevin Rompa. Coverage you can count on. Here's meteorologist Brad Spakowitz, live from Storm Center 2 HD. Brought to you by Mills Fleet Farm.
Here they are, the temperatures this morning for our nighttime lows. It was -8 in Green Bay, -9 at Appleton, -18 at Antigo. Shawano, you were 9 below zero. -11 this morning at Marinette and -15 at Iron Mountain. Along the lakeshore, -6 at Manitowoc and Sturgeon Bay, checking in with -8 there. A little bit colder for much of north central Wisconsin. Rhinelander bottomed out at -19, and way over there in western Wisconsin, Hayward -23 this morning. Well, despite that very frigid start, remarkably, temperatures have made a pretty good comeback. I know they're not real nice, but it's not as bad as it was. We're mostly around zero, and most of the temperatures in east central Wisconsin now just barely above zero. Still a good 5 to about 8 degrees below zero for north central Wisconsin, but they should be able to tack on a few additional degrees there before the end of the day. Here are some wind chills live with our exclusive WeatherBug network. And again, because they are live readings, they'll be changing here every time a little gust of wind comes through. Currently a wind chill of -21 there at Little Chute, and Menasha checking in with a wind chill now of -18. A little bit further westward we go, where we find a wind chill currently in New Wapaka there at -25, -17 at Princeton, and along the lakeshore right now feels like 0 in Manitowoc, feels like -23 there at Sheboygan, -18 at Storm Center 2 in downtown Green Bay, and -18 at Oconto now. Feels like -19 at Sturgeon Bay, and feels like -28 at Wabeno. And again, as I mentioned earlier in the newscast, much of eastern Wisconsin has been excluded now from that wind chill advisory, but still, we'll have wind chills at times down to around -20, as we just saw. There is still officially a wind chill advisory now extended through 9 a.m. Wednesday for up over here. That includes Forest and Florence counties and Lake counties, where you'll have at times wind chills down to -30, especially by tonight. So wind chills top your weather headlines for the next 24 hours. Later tonight, a few patchy clouds, and from those patchy clouds tomorrow, maybe a few stray flurries. But for the time being, we're enjoying a lot of sunshine now. That'll continue throughout the day. I did want to show you one other thing. Notice just to our north right now, up there in Canada, temperatures are still around -15 to -20. This is the axis, or the center of the cold air, so it's already starting to shift eastward, and that'll continue in the coming days. So with time here, our temperatures will start to moderate a little bit, so something to look forward to. Otherwise, here are the expected highs for today with Pinpoint Predictor. Around 3 in Green Bay this afternoon, 3 at Oshkosh, about 4 there at Wapaka. Places to the northwest, you're going to struggle to try to reach the 0-degree mark. Lakewood -2, -3 for a high at Antigo. And then tonight back into the deep freeze, where temperatures will range from around -5 at Manitowoc to -8 tonight in Green Bay to about -16 at Antigo. So get ready for that. Also, by the way, we will have maybe a few patchy clouds, but you'll be able to grab a glimpse of this tonight. If you find the moon, look to the upper right of the moon. That very bright star is actually the planet Jupiter, so very close together, very easy to spot the two tonight. Otherwise, there's 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, and notice a few more clouds than today. And again, a few of those clouds, especially later on, could produce a few flurries. The big thing about tomorrow, not quite as cold as today. Temperatures should be in the upper single digits and low teens tomorrow across northeastern Wisconsin. So on your severe winter weather outlook, there are a couple of things to point out. Still some wind chills tonight, early tomorrow. Snow chance Thursday night into Friday. That could at least be a couple of inches there, and you're going to probably do it again there on Sunday. Otherwise, officially at the National Weather Service in Green Bay right now, 1 above, but it feels like -18 with a west wind at 15 miles per hour. So from Storm Center 2 for this afternoon, mostly sunny with temperatures mostly in the single digits, right around 0, give or take a few degrees in either direction. But those wind chills will still average between -15 to -20 in the south and right around -25 in the north. Becoming partly cloudy tonight with nighttime lows between -5 and -15 degrees from south to north in that order. And then ahead for tomorrow, a mix of sun and clouds, maybe a few afternoon flurries. The wind chills not as harsh. Your daytime highs will range from about 5 to 10 degrees across northeastern Wisconsin tomorrow, up to 15 15 on Thursday. Thursday night into Friday, snow could easily be at least a couple of inches there, and about 20 on Friday. 17 on Saturday. That's a dry one, but later on Sunday, more snow returns with a high of 27, though, Kevin.
That's a heat wave in these parts right now, isn't it?
By these standards, yes.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Brad. A group of climbers, meanwhile, kind of having some fun in the freezing conditions. This is in Cedar Falls, Iowa, braving cold temps to scale a frozen silo. Look at that. Some climbers did it for class credit at the University of Northern Iowa, but two of the youngest climbers just did it because they thought it would be fun.
Well, I don't know. It's just fun getting up really high and ice climbing. I think it's a new experience and people should be open to trying it.
That's true, but maybe when you're a little older. Safety ropes are used to keep the climbers safe. Well, Old Glory honor flights have been flying local World War II vets to Washington for the trip of a lifetime. How you can help keep those flights in the air and have a laugh or two as well. That's next on Action 2 News at noon. Welcome back, and it's the Honor Flight Comedy Show, and this is for the Old Glory Honor Flights. It's coming February 2nd, Appleton VFW, 501 North Richmond, HeartlandComedyExpress.com. We can get tickets there or at the Appleton VFW. Let's meet our guest, Tom Vinge, talk more about this event. Well, let's talk first about the Old Glory Honor Flights, kind of a brief explanation. I think a lot of people know, but those who don't, tell us what happens on these.
Yes, sir. With the Old Glory Honor Flights and honor flights in general all over the nation, they take World War II veterans, and they have been doing this for the past about 3 or 4 years, out to Washington, D.C. for a day. Of course, the biggest thing is seeing the World War II monument, World War II memorial. And they also make stops at the Vietnam and Korean war memorials. Also, the flight that we were on this past year, we had the opportunity to go to the Iwo Jima Marine exhibit, and we got to see the silent drill team.
Yeah, it's amazingly emotional, isn't it? I mean, it really is.
It really is.
And the vets don't have to pay any money for this, but that's because of events like you've got coming up too. It's a fundraising event, and it's a comedy night too. Tell us about that.
What we do is we got a group of comics together, and we started doing this back in 2011, and it's just grown from there. And February 2nd, we're going to be at the Appleton VFW. There's going to be about 4 to 5 comics. We have a pool of about 12 that we have. And we each go out for about 5 to 10 minutes and just enjoy ourselves. And we've got to know each other quite well, where we have a lot of fun, not only just with the crowd, with ourselves. And we also do a lot of things. We have some special things planned that I'll kind of keep under wrap for that night. It's just going to be really cool and really neat.
A night of a lot of laughs, so. All right, and then you can get tickets at the Appleton VFW, right? And
Correct.
How much are they?
$10 a ticket.
Okay.
The show goes about 1.5 hours to 2 hours,
yeah.
Depending upon how crazy we get, and we usually get crazy.
Well, it's going to be fun, but it's also for such a great cause, too, to keep those honor flights going and take the World War II vets back to Washington for a day they will never forget. Let's pop up the date if we could, and it's the Honor Flight Comedy Show. It's February 2nd. Appleton VFW is the location, and that's where you can also buy your tickets. Appleton VFW, which is at 501 North Richmond Street in Appleton. And the website to find out more is HeartlandComedyExpress.com. Should be a fun show and for a great cause. Thanks for your help, and we will be right back. All right, give you a final check on the weather. Yes, it's tough out there. No, you don't want to stay out for a long time. Where am I going with this? What about tomorrow?
Well, let's begin with today, Kevin, okay?
Today comes first and then tomorrow. All
First of all, a quick reminder, you still have that wind chill advisory. That originally was a wind chill warning in the north. It's been downgraded to an advisory, but it has been extended all the way until 9 a.m. tomorrow. That includes those of you in Forest and Florence and Langlade counties. The rest of us, even though we're not in that advisory, we still at times will have wind chills down to around -20, especially again tonight. There's your planner for the afternoon and early evening hours. Our skies will generally be fair. Temperatures this afternoon barely above 0 in many spots, and not even quite that warm in other areas. But as you can see, early this evening we slip back down below 0, and it will be another mighty cold night tonight.
It will. Remember, this will be one of the most memorable days of the winter, so look at it from that way. Have a great day. We'll see you for.